My wife slept with her adoptive brother and let my child call him dad. So I collected proof and forced them to face the consequences of betrayal. Fiona, 29, female, and I were that couple everyone pointed to, the ones who had it all together. Good jobs, nice house, cute kid, the works. But things don't crash overnight. They rot slowly, piece by piece, until one day you wake up next to a stranger scrolling her phone while you're talking about dinner plans. It started small. She used to look up when I came home. Now she barely glanced away from whatever influencer she was doom scrolling. I'd tell her about my day and I'd get a flat uh-huh. That was it. Half the time she'd have earbuds in, pretending she didn't hear me. Our dinners used to be full of dumb jokes and plans for weekend trips. Now it was silence, chewing, and the blue glow of her screen lighting her face. One night I reached across the table, took her hand and said, "Can we please just have one meal without your phone?" She pulled it back like I was invading her space. "You're overreacting, I'm just checking something real quick." She said that every night. I should have said something sharp right then, but I didn't. I just stood there watching her half smile like maybe I was joking. She finally mumbled, "I've just been so tired lately," and turned the TV back on. That was the moment something in me started to disconnect, but I still tried, for our daughter's sake. I planned a date night, reservations at her favorite place, babysitter booked, the whole deal. She canceled the morning of. Said she wasn't in the mood to go anywhere crowded. That became her new thing, never in the mood for anything that involved me. I'm not the kind of guy who whines or plays victim. I believe in handling problems, not running from them. But marriage isn't a solo job. You can't fix something when the other person is already checked out. I thought about divorce more than once, even looked up lawyers one night after she called me boring for wanting to watch a movie together. But every time I saw Ariana's face, that tiny smile when I walked in the door, her arms reaching for me, I stayed. She's too smart as a whip, and she lights up every room she's in. She was the only reason I didn't walk out sooner. Around that time, I started talking to Rachel at work. She's a project coordinator, mid-30s, funny, down to earth. She actually listened when I talked. It wasn't flirting, it was just easy. I could talk about home stuff without being judged or shut down. She'd say things like, "Man, that sounds rough," or "You've got a lot on your plate." That was it, nothing more. But somehow, Fiona found a reason to twist even that. One night, she checked my messages. I had nothing to hide, and saw a text from Rachel reminding me about a team meeting. Fiona went ballistic. "So this is the girl you've been pouring your heart out to?" she yelled. I told her she was insane, there was nothing between us. She didn't want to hear it. She stormed off yelling something about emotional cheating. That phrase stuck with me, emotional cheating for having a normal conversation, while she hadn't touched me in months. After that night, I stopped trying to explain myself. There's no winning with someone who needs a villain to feel right. She started throwing guilt trips like grenades. "You've changed. You're never around. You only care about work." Funny thing is, I was around more than ever. She just wasn't looking in my direction. I kept things polite. Did my fatherly duties, played with Ariana, went to work, paid bills. But every time I looked at Fiona, I saw a wall. Cold eyes, short words, always defensive. If she wanted distance, I gave it. If she wanted silence, I matched it. I wasn't about to chase someone who clearly didn't want to be caught. The night it finally hit me, I was putting Ariana to bed. She grabbed my face with her tiny hands and said, "Daddy happy?" I smiled and said, "Always, baby." But the truth was I wasn't. Something was deeply wrong. I just didn't know how deep it went yet. It started about 2 weeks after that night. Fiona came into the kitchen one morning acting sweet for the first time in months. Pancakes, coffee already brewed, even a kiss on the cheek. That should have been my first red flag. She only acted nice when she wanted something. "Hey," she said real casual. "So, you remember my brother Jake?" I didn't look up from my mug. "Yeah, the CrossFit guy who thinks protein shakes are a food group." She frowned. "He's not like that anymore. He's going through a rough time. His wife left him and took the house. He's basically living out of his car." I already knew where this was going. "And you want him to stay here?" She blinked like she was surprised I caught on that fast, just until he gets back on his feet. "He's family." I put the mug down slowly. "Fiona, no, absolutely not. I'm not running a charity. We've got a toddler, a mortgage, and barely any space as it is." That's when the switch flipped. "Wow," she said, her voice sharp now. "You're seriously being heartless right now?" "He's my brother, Mitchell." "Yeah, your brother, who's a grown man. He can figure it out. He's not our responsibility." She crossed her arms. "So what? You'd rather him sleep in his car while his family pretends he doesn't exist?" "That's not my family," I said flatly, "and this isn't my problem." Her jaw dropped like I'd just kicked a puppy. Unbelievable. You talk about morals and being a provider, but you can't even help someone for a few weeks. I didn't bite. I just said he could stay 1 month. That's it. He pays rent by the end of it, and he's expected to find a job. I'm not babysitting another adult. She paused like she didn't expect me to negotiate. Fine, a month. But her tone told me she was already planning to stretch that. Jake showed up 2 days later with his entire life crammed into the back of a pickup truck. Gym bags and boxes labeled personal stuff. He was tall, built, and way too comfortable for someone supposedly broken from a divorce. He grinned at me like we were old friends. "Hey man, thanks for letting me crash here." "Yeah," I said, forcing a nod. "Just remember, 1 month." He laughed. "Oh, for sure. I'll be out before you even notice me." That was a lie. I noticed him everywhere. The guy treated the house like a vacation rental, shirtless in the kitchen, leaving his shoes by the couch. He'd borrow my tools, my charger, even my car once, said he had a job interview. When I asked how it went, he said, "They're not hiring right now," while scrolling his phone on my couch. Ariana adored him from day one. Uncle Jake. She'd squeal every time he walked in. He'd toss her in the air, make her laugh until she hiccuped. And I'll admit, for a while that softened me. I told myself maybe it was good for her to have someone playful around. But the more I watched, the more I noticed the details. The way Fiona would light up when Jake entered a room. The way she'd fix her hair before he came downstairs. The way she'd lean into him when they talked. Jake was always there. Every morning, every night. He started picking Ariana up from daycare to help out. Fiona stopped asking me to. She said it was easier since Jake was home during the day. I came back from work once, changed clothes, came back down for dinner. The three of them were already eating, laughing about something Jake said. My plate wasn't even set out. Fiona looked up, finally noticing me. "Oh hey, there's more in the pan if you're hungry." I stared at her, then at Jake, who didn't even look embarrassed. "Right," I said quietly. I served myself, ate at the counter alone while they watched TV together in the next room. The laughter echoed down the hall. I chewed slowly, not angry, just done pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. Something told me the rot in this marriage had just found its source. The first week after that dinner was more of the same. Jake on the couch, Fiona defending him. He still hadn't found a job. I came home one night and found him watching TV, feet on my coffee table, my daughter's toys scattered everywhere. "Jake," I said flatly, "you've been here a week. Any luck with work?" He muted the TV, stretched like he was the one paying rent. "Yeah, man, been applying. Just tough out there right now." I crossed my arms. "Tough? It's been a month since your divorce. You've had time to do more than scroll job boards. If you don't find a job by midweek, you're out. I mean it." He smirked like he thought I was bluffing. "All right, bro. Message received." Fiona came down the stairs just in time to hear that. "Really, Mitchell? You're threatening to kick out my brother? You know he's still adjusting." I looked straight at her. "He's not adjusting. He's freeloading." She rolled her eyes like I was some uptight boss scolding an intern. "You're unbelievable. The man just got out of a marriage." "Yeah," I said, keeping my voice steady, and so did millions of people before him who didn't mooch off family for a living. That shut her up for about 3 seconds. Then she stormed off, muttering, "You're just jealous." Jealous? That word stuck in my head the rest of the night because by that point there was nothing subtle about what was going on. I'd walk into the kitchen and see Jake standing behind her, leaning in close, hand brushing her shoulder while she chopped vegetables. She never pulled away. Sometimes she'd giggle, that same laugh she hadn't used with me in months. One morning I came downstairs early and caught them in the living room, sitting too close on the couch, whispering. Her hand was on his knee. She jumped when she saw me. Jake just smirked like it was a game. I didn't explode. I wasn't going to give either of them that satisfaction. I just looked at Fiona and said, "Breakfast ready?" She stammered, yeah, almost." That night I finally snapped. She was in the kitchen cleaning up, and I walked right in, stood between her and the sink. "I've had enough, Fiona," I said calmly. She sighed, not even turning around. "What now, Mitchell?" "I have a sister," I said, "and I don't act with her the way you act with Jake." She froze for a second, then spun around, eyes wide like I'd just insulted her entire bloodline. "You're disgusting," she snapped. "How dare you even think that?" "I'm not thinking anything," I said. "I'm seeing it. You don't touch family like that. You don't whisper. You don't lean in like that. And you sure as hell don't let your daughter start calling him." "Stop," she yelled. "You're paranoid. You need help." Funny. That's what guilty people always say when you catch them off guard. I stared her down. "You think I don't notice the way he looks at you? The way you smile at him? You really expect me to believe this is normal?" She pointed a finger at me like I was a misbehaving kid. "You're insane. He's my brother. You're making something sick out of nothing." "Then maybe act like it," I said coldly, and walked out before she could twist my words again. The next day, Ariana started calling Jake Dada. I was in the living room when it happened. Jake was showing her a new toy. She giggled and said, "Dada, hoop." Fiona laughed so hard I wanted to put my fist through a wall. "She's just confused," she said between laughs. "You work too much. She's around him more." "Then stop letting him play dad in my house," I said. That night, while Fiona was asleep, I sat in my office and started making calls. Found a divorce lawyer, a quiet, sharp guy my coworker recommended. We talked for almost an hour. He told me exactly what to start collecting: financials, text records, household expenses, anything that could show I was the stable parent. By the end of the call, I had a plan. The next few days I played it cool, came home on time, ate quietly, helped Ariana with her coloring books. Fiona noticed. "What's your problem?" she said. I smiled. "No problem. Just counting down the days." She frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Middle of the week," I said. "Hope your brother has a job lined up." She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "And don't think I'm bluffing. You wanted to play house? You can do it somewhere else." She stormed off again, but this time I didn't follow. I wasn't the same guy who tried to fix everything anymore. I was done being guilt-tripped, done being gaslit, done pretending my marriage was worth saving. If she wanted to lie, I'd make sure it cost her. And this time I wasn't fighting for her. I was fighting for my daughter and my peace. First thing I did was start documenting. Dates, times, details, every pattern, every errand she suddenly had to run, every moment she and Jake disappeared into another room. I downloaded an app that logged timestamps and geotags for photos, and I made sure everything synced to the cloud under my private email. Fiona was careless. She left receipts on the counter. Restaurants, coffee shops, even one from a hotel bar about 20 minutes away. Later, through discovery, my lawyer obtained the hotel's itemized records. The timestamps matched perfectly, same night, same bar tab. Her phone went dark for 2 hours, and Jake's card activity lined up. She claimed she went shopping there, but the receipt was timestamped 11:47 p.m. shopping. Sure. I also noticed how Jake suddenly had friends in that area too. He'd disappear around the same time Fiona would, both returning home within minutes of each other. I didn't need to be Sherlock to connect the dots. By week's end, I'd installed small legal cameras in the living room and kitchen, not hidden, discreet, but visible. I told Fiona it was for security. She rolled her eyes, said I was paranoid, but didn't stop me. Maybe part of her thought I'd never actually look. Within 2 days, I had footage. Not of them doing anything obvious, but close enough. Jake brushing her hair behind her ear, her resting a hand on his chest when she laughed, his hand lingering on her waist while they made breakfast. That was enough for me to know. I didn't need the full show, just proof of betrayal. The night I watched that footage back, I felt something inside me snap. Not heartbreak, just disgust, like I was living in an incestuous house that needed fumigation. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confronting her would mean giving her control again, and I wasn't giving her another ounce of power. The next morning I left for work early, but instead of going to the office, I drove to a small cafe on the edge of town and made a call I'd been avoiding for months, to Fiona's father, Rick. He picked up on the second ring. "Mitchell, everything all right?" "Not really," I said. "I need to talk to you in person. It's about Fiona." There was a pause, a low sigh. Then, "I can meet in an hour." When I walked into the cafe, he was already there, sitting near the window with his coffee untouched. The man looked tired, older than I remembered. When I sat down, he gave me a look like he already knew this wasn't going to be good. "What's going on?" he asked. I pulled out my tablet, opened the folder. Receipts, messages, still frames from the footage. "It's about Fiona and Jake." He frowned. "What about them?" I turned the screen toward him. "You tell me." He leaned forward, squinting at the photos. Fiona and Jake sitting too close, her smiling in a way that used to be reserved for me. His face changed slowly from confusion to disbelief, then finally to something like nausea. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "There's more," I said, flipping to the hotel receipt. Same time, same place. Her phone went dark for 2 hours, and the timing matched Jake's card activity from the hotel bar. I don't need to guess what was happening. He put a hand to his forehead, shaking his head. I knew something was off. I didn't want to believe it. "You knew?" He looked up, eyes glassy. "I've seen how she is with him, even when they were kids. Always too close. I thought I was imagining it, but there's something I never told you." I didn't say anything. I just waited. "Jake isn't her biological brother," he said finally. "He's adopted. My wife couldn't have more children, so we adopted him when Fiona was 10. I sat back. The words hit like a punch to the gut. "You're saying they're not blood-related?" He nodded slowly. "No, but we raised them as siblings. That's what makes this so twisted." I exhaled through my nose, trying to keep the anger from boiling over. So she's been lying to me from the start, using that brother excuse to get away with everything. He nodded again, rubbing his temples. "I should have said something sooner. I saw the signs, Mitchell. The way she looked at him, the way he followed her around. I told myself I was being paranoid. I didn't want to believe my own daughter could be. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. I pushed the tablet toward him. I've already contacted a lawyer. I'm filing, but I need your help. For Ariana's sake. His eyes met mine, firm now. You'll have it. I'll testify. You don't have to worry about her trying to spin this. That was all I needed to hear. We sat there for a while, both quiet, the weight of it sitting heavy between us. When he finally spoke again, his voice cracked. I'm sorry, son, I really am. She wasn't raised this way. I don't know what happened to her. She made her choices, I said. Now I'm making mine. When I got home, I acted like nothing had happened. Fiona was on the couch with Jake, both laughing at something on his phone. She looked up when I walked in. Hey, you're home early, she said. Yeah, I replied, setting my briefcase down. Traffic was good. She smiled, clueless, and went back to whatever joke Jake was showing her. I stood there for a few seconds, just watching them, not angry anymore, just done. That night, I backed up all my evidence, printed copies, and stored everything off-site. I emailed my lawyer. The next phase was coming, and I was ready. No shouting, no begging, just facts and consequences. Fiona wanted to lie. Fine, I'd make sure every single one cost her everything she cared about. Weeks later, everything was set. The lawyer had the paperwork ready, the evidence compiled, the witnesses lined up. My father-in-law knew the plan. We agreed not to warn her ahead of time. She'd find out the same way she found everything else in life. Too late. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I was in the kitchen getting Ariana's breakfast ready when a knock came at the door. Fiona answered it still in her robe, coffee mug in hand. When the man handed her the thick envelope, she frowned, glanced at the name on it, then looked at me. What's this? She asked. I wiped my hands with a towel. Why don't you open it and see? She tore it open. As her eyes skimmed the pages, her expression changed. Confusion first, then disbelief, then full-blown panic. You're divorcing me, she stammered. I leaned on the counter. You make it sound like it's a surprise. The meltdown was instant. You're insane, you can't just do this, she screamed, waving the papers around. We have a child, Mitchell. A family. You should have thought about that before you decided to share one with someone else. She went red in the face. That's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. I picked up my phone and pressed play on a short clip. Her in the kitchen. Jake standing behind her, his hands sliding around her waist, her laughter echoing in the background. Her face drained of color. You spied on me? I documented what was happening in my house, I said evenly. Big difference. She tried to pivot. This is invasion of privacy. You can't use that. I already did. And you watched me install the cameras, I cut in. My lawyer has everything. Receipts, timestamps, hotel records. You're not talking your way out of this. She broke down crying. The dramatic kind, hands covering her face, sobbing into the counter. You're ruining our lives, she whispered. I didn't respond. I just poured my coffee and watched her unravel. She switched gears fast, wiping her eyes and storming toward me. You can't take Ariana from me! I'm not taking her, I said. I'm protecting her. Right on cue, another knock hit the door. Fiona spun around, already annoyed. What now? It was her father. He stepped inside before she could even fake a smile. His face was pale, jaw tight, eyes sharp. He looked straight at her. Sit down, Fiona, he said. She hesitated. Dad, sit down. His voice carried the kind of authority you don't argue with. Jake wandered in from upstairs, shirtless as usual. What's going on? Rick turned on him like a storm. You have some nerve showing your face in this house. Jake's expression soured. Excuse me? He walked closer, pointing at both of them. You've disgraced this family. You've dragged your daughter into filth. I raised you better, Fiona. Dad, please. No, he held up a hand. I've seen the proof. Mitchell showed me everything. Jake stepped forward, defensive. We didn't mean for it to happen. Then what did you mean? Her father snapped. To destroy your marriage? To humiliate the people who trusted you? You think being adopted makes this less disgusting? Jake's mouth opened, then closed again. Fiona started crying again, this time less dramatic, more desperate. Dad, stop, you're making it worse. He shook his head. You made it worse. You lied, you betrayed your husband, and you made me ashamed to call you my daughter. You're both done. Disowned. Fiona gasped like the word had hit her physically. You don't mean that. I do, he said quietly. And I'll testify for Mitchell in court. He deserves custody. Ariana deserves stability. Jake snapped then. You're all insane. This is between us. He turned toward me, chest puffed out, jaw clenched. You think you're some big man hiding behind lawyers and old men? I didn't move from where I was standing. I don't need to hide, Jake. You're the one hiding in my house. He took a step closer. You got something to say? Say it. I met his eyes. Yeah, pack your things and get out. Fiona tried to grab his arm. Jake, don't. He shrugged her off and swung at me. I saw it coming. The second his shoulder twitched, I ducked and drove a punch straight into his gut. He stumbled back, gasping. When he straightened up, I landed one more to the jaw, enough to send him down. Get up, I said calmly. And get out. Fiona was screaming now, half at me, half at him. Stop it, you're both acting crazy. I ignored her. Take your boyfriend and your lies and leave my house now. Jake wiped his mouth, blood on his hand, glaring but too humiliated to respond. He grabbed his phone off the table and headed upstairs to pack. Fiona stood there frozen, shaking her head. You can't just throw us out. Watch me. Her father finally spoke again, his tone cold. You've made your choice, Fiona. Don't come to me when it falls apart. They left an hour later. 2 duffel bags, a shattered illusion, and nothing else. The house felt quiet after they were gone, the kind of quiet that finally lets you breathe again. Her father sat at the table, staring at the divorce papers she'd dropped in her meltdown. You handled that better than I would have, he said finally. I shrugged. Yelling at people like them doesn't work. You just let them self-destruct. He nodded slowly. You did the right thing. I'm proud of you. It didn't feel like a victory. Not yet. But for the first time in months, I felt control again. Not over her, not over him, but over myself. And when I tucked Ariana into bed that night, the house didn't feel heavy anymore. It finally felt mine. The silence that filled the house after Fiona and Jake left wasn't lonely. It was clean. The weeks that followed were a blur of paperwork, meetings, and hearings. Divorce is never quick, but when you've got proof, solid, undeniable proof, it's a lot smoother. My lawyer laid it all out, the photos, the videos, the receipts, the timeline. Fiona didn't even try to deny it anymore. When she saw the evidence in court, her eyes went dead. The judge reviewed everything, my financial records, work history, and the testimony from Fiona's own father. When he finished, he looked at her like he was talking to a child. Mrs. Taylor, he said, you've demonstrated a pattern of behavior that's not just irresponsible but unsafe for a child. Fiona tried to speak. Your Honor, please, I love my daughter. The judge cut her off. You had every opportunity to prioritize your daughter, and you chose not to. When the gavel hit, I won full custody of Ariana. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like justice finally caught up. Fiona got visitation, supervised and limited to a few hours a month. Jake was in the back of the courtroom that day, head down, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. He looked smaller somehow, like all the arrogance had drained out of him. I almost felt pity. Almost. A few days after the ruling, Fiona's father kept his word. He posted a long public statement on social media. No cryptic family issues post. He named names. To anyone wondering why my daughter and her so-called brother are no longer part of my life, the answer is simple. They betrayed the people who love them most. What they did was beyond forgiveness. I've disowned them both and stand by my son-in-law Mitchell, who has shown integrity and restraint where others would have shown rage. I'm proud of him and will support him and Ariana in every way I can. It spread fast. The comments poured in. People who used to praise Fiona for her perfect family started calling her a disgrace. Old co-workers unfollowed her. Her company, a family-focused marketing firm, quietly let her go a week later. Jake wasn't spared either. Word spread that he was that guy who ran off with his sister. The story twisted in all directions, but the core truth never changed. They were finished. They moved into a small apartment on the edge of town, away from everyone they knew. Someone sent me a screenshot of a local Facebook group, people posting pictures of them in grocery stores, whispering, "Is that them? Can you believe it?" Word must have reached their landlord. They'd been on a month-to-month lease, and he simply chose not to renew it. The notice said non-renewal due to community concerns. Everyone knew what that really meant. He didn't want their drama tied to his property. They bounced around after that. I heard they tried to rent another place, but as soon as the landlord Googled their names, it was a no. Their reputations followed them everywhere. Fiona tried to post a defense once, a long paragraph about love not knowing boundaries and how people wouldn't understand. It backfired immediately. The comments were brutal. She deleted her account the same day. While they fell apart, I rebuilt quietly. I focused on Ariana. She didn't talk much at first, just drew pictures. But after a few sessions with a therapist, she started to smile again. The therapist said she was adjusting well. That was all I needed to hear. Work got better too. I wasn't distracted anymore, Rachel noticed. You seem more relieved lately, she said. I just smiled. Rick, my father-in-law, stopped by often. He'd bring groceries, help fix things, take Ariana to the park. One day as he was leaving, he said, "You did more than I ever could have, son. You handled it like a man." I didn't feel like a hero, just a dad who refused to be walked over. By then, Ariana was starting preschool. She'd come home with finger paintings and stories about her friends. No more confusion. No more asking for Uncle Jake. Just her life. Simple, innocent, normal. One night, I found her asleep on the couch clutching her stuffed elephant, the same one Jake had won her at a carnival long ago. For a moment I froze, wondering if it would ever stop reminding me of that time. Then she stirred, half awake, and whispered, "Daddy." "Yeah, baby," I said, lifting her gently. "Let's get you to bed." I leaned against the doorframe and whispered, mostly to myself, "She's safe now." And for the first time in years, that felt like enough. But peace doesn't always stay quiet. Sometimes it tests you just to see if you really mean it. It was a Thursday evening a few weeks after everything settled. Ariana was watching cartoons while I folded laundry. The doorbell rang, quick, sharp, almost desperate. When I opened it, Fiona was standing there. She looked nothing like the woman I married. Her hair was a mess, skin pale, eyes sunken and red. Her clothes were wrinkled, and her hands trembled as she clutched her purse. For a second, she didn't even speak. She just stared at me, breathing hard like she'd run here. "Mitchell," she whispered finally. "Please don't shut the door." I didn't. I just stood there, blocking the doorway. "What do you want, Fiona?" I left him," she said. "Jake, it's over. I needed to see you, to see Ariana." Her voice cracked on Ariana's name, but I didn't buy it. She looked less like a mother and more like a ghost trying to remember what being alive felt like. "You miss her?" I asked quietly. She nodded, tears filling her eyes. "Every second. I made a mistake, Mitchell. I know that now. Please. I just want to see my daughter." I shook my head. "No, you don't get to decide that now. You made your choice when you walked out with him." Her lips trembled. "You don't understand. He's gone. He hit me. He took my money." "I don't care," I cut in. "You burned every bridge on your way out. And I'm not letting you drag Ariana through the ashes." Her tears turned to anger fast, like flipping a switch. "You think you're some hero, huh? Taking everything from me?" "I didn't take anything," I said calmly. "You handed it away." She started pacing, muttering under her breath, then slammed her hand against the wall. "You ruined my life," she screamed. "You turned everyone against me. My own father hates me because of you." "No, Fiona," I said evenly. "Your father hates what you did." She started crying again, louder this time. "I'm still her mother. You can't erase me." She grabbed a picture frame off the console, one of me and Ariana at the park, and threw it against the floor. Glass shattered. Ariana's voice called from the living room, small and scared. "Daddy?" "Stay in there, baby," I yelled, keeping my eyes on Fiona. She was shaking, crying, mumbling something about how she just wanted to hold her daughter. "You can't keep her from me," she screamed. "Leave now," I said, voice low but steady, "or I call the cops." She glared, took a step toward the hallway. "I just want to see her. She's sleeping." I lied, stepping in front of the hall entrance. "You're not going anywhere near her." She tried to push past me, a weak shove, but enough to make my patience snap. I caught her by the wrists, moved her back toward the door, and pulled my phone from my pocket. "Stop," she cried. "You can't do this. I'm her mother." I hit 911. "Yeah," I said to the dispatcher, voice steady. "I need officers at my address. My ex-wife is here, uninvited, trying to take my daughter." Fiona froze when she realized what I'd done. "You called the cops on me? You left me no choice." She tried to dart toward Ariana's room again, but I blocked her. She grabbed a vase off the counter and threw it, missed by a foot, shattered against the wall. The sound made Ariana scream. I kept my back to the hallway, shielding the space between Fiona and my daughter until the sirens came. 2 officers arrived within minutes. They separated us immediately. I told them everything, showed them the draft restraining order petition my lawyer had prepared months ago just in case. Fiona was still yelling in the driveway when they cuffed her. "I just wanted to see my kid," she cried as they led her to the car. "You're evil, Mitchell. You took everything from me." I didn't respond. I just stood there, arms crossed, watching the car disappear down the street. After the chaos that night, I filed for the restraining order officially. My lawyer handled it the next morning, fast and clean. The emergency order temporarily suspended her supervised visitation until the hearing. Fiona was banned from coming within 200 feet of the house or contacting either of us. That night, the house was quiet again. Too quiet. I found Ariana curled up on the couch, hugging her elephant. Her eyes were wide. "Daddy," she whispered. "Is Mommy gone again?" I sat beside her, pulled her close. "Yeah, baby," I said softly. "She's gone." She nodded, rested her head on my chest. "Okay." That one word, "okay," hit harder than anything else. She wasn't crying. She wasn't confused. She just accepted it. And somehow that broke me more than the screaming ever did. A few months passed. Things stayed peaceful. The restraining order held. No more visits, no more surprises. I got promoted at work, started sleeping better, started smiling again without feeling guilty about it. Months later, after everything had finally calmed down, Rachel reached out outside of work just to ask how Ariana was doing. I invited her over for coffee. It wasn't romantic at first, just two people who'd been through enough drama to crave normal. We'd sit on the porch while Ariana played in the yard. No games, no tension, no pretending, just peace. One afternoon, Ariana came running up holding a flower she'd picked. "For you and Miss Rachel," she said proudly. Rachel laughed and thanked her, and I caught myself smiling in a way I hadn't in years. The kind of smile that comes when you finally stop looking over your shoulder. Fiona burned everything down, but I walked out with the only thing that ever mattered, me and Ariana.